First year show this year, and I've had to re-record the audio because the wind is blowing its balls off. But just a quick behind the scenes, both for those people who are wondering what the hell this even is, how it works, and also for the guys that do put together this kind of show, maybe for some feedback, how I can do things differently. As I said, first year show, I've sort of worked out how I want things to work myself, and so far so good. Thought I'd best get this video done before this afternoon's storm potentially wreaks some havoc. So I'll go right to left. So we're operating off one master bigger bone there in the garage, one on the left hand side of the house connected to a Hansen controller, one outside the front door connected to a Hansen controller, one on the right hand side of the house connected to a Hansen controller, and then a Colt K8B scroller in the Tune 2 sign here. Thanks to Jared Hall for that one. Arches, cedar hose bought off eBay. I had tried to do the idea as per Simon and put the nodes in it, but I personally didn't like the look, so they're on 60 LED per metre strip, double arch feet from, I think it's SFL Designs. So they worked really well and they look really good. I certainly prefer the look of the strip over the nodes. Big mega tree, or big version of our mega tree. So this one here is 24 by 150. The pole itself, even though it looks like it's leading at the moment, just the wind doing that. Pole itself stands 4.5 metres tall. And then you got the star on top. It is a 6-ring star, but I've only got it wired up as a 3, so it's just running 150 nodes. Now this tree runs off 4 ports off the right hand side controller, so 4 strings of 6, so then it's power injected. So power injection box here, a bit of overkill, but the way I built these things is to allow me to continue to grow. So it's just pretty straightforward in there. Hansen Power 8 distributions, 2 mean wells, just injected straight into the tree. Every so often there's only, I'm only using the 16 outputs, so it's not quite every string. Base is a portable hole. That itself I worked out weighs 80 kilos, 40 nominal bore galv pipe, and then I've gone as much overkill as I can in terms of holding the thing down, and it hasn't budged. It's been through some pretty decent storms. Little Rudolph reindeer from Troy ELD, pretty popular with the kids. Guy wires on a guy wire ring. It is underneath the topper, so I know it's not technically correct, but like I said, it hasn't budged. So 2 just to concrete feet and 1 into that retaining wall. All of our outlines are 25mm PVC conduit. That there is held in by standard conduit clips, but the ones on the gutters are 3D printed clips that I've sort of adapted myself. I can't remember whose original design that is, just to hold it nice and straight and high in line with the actual gutter. First controller here. Again, overkill with the box, but Hansen HE123, pretty straightforward there on a Beaglebone black. 2 power supplies. It works. Matrix mesh from Troy. Now this matrix runs off 1 port off the center controller, and it also is power injected, so I've got a power injection box mounted here on the back and then into T's, so easy access again through a power distro down. That's pretty straightforward. It is spaced at 1 inch. My opinion is I'd certainly prefer spaced at 2 inch. In the Boydaw mesh, I'd certainly prefer 1 inch spacing in that. Like I said, it runs off 1 port, the center house controller there. Matrix columns, this is just from, I think, 6mm Coro from Bunnings. that I cut out and just made myself, painted them like candy canes obviously. Ted, so that's 40 by 4, so 160, so each of these is running off one port, off that center control there. Ted here, big beast, center of attention. We've done some pretty cool things with him, I think, with a voiceover guy. He sounds like Seth MacFarlane's Ted. He runs off 3 ports, again, off that center controller. Audio, Boydaw Black, master in the garage, to a Science Tech knockoff transmitter to the FM speaker. Just upgraded to that one this week, it sounds a bit better. When we first started building, we had no intention of being as big as this show is for our first year, so this was going to be our one and only controller box. Originally had our FM transmitter, small 12 volt power supply, and now it's just basically back to one 5 volt power supply, Boydaw Black, the Handsome board, and it's now got Alan's USB DMX dongle out, as we've added DMX in the last couple of weeks. We'll probably go a little bit further with that. Some more this year to add, and probably some more next year. Merry Christmas sign is also power injected, just for the point of trying to limit the number of cords coming to it. It's on a temporary fencing panel, as is the matrix on a temporary fencing panel, anchored down one side with a foot, and then on the other side I added an extra leg welded onto the jockey wheel here, just to make it easy to open like a gate. But it runs off 2 ports off that controller, and then it's got its own power injection box, similar to the box for the matrix, except this one I've just piggybacked the power for the snow machine just this week. Just yesterday or the day before I only did that, so again, I certainly haven't done things as elaborate as some snow machines now mounted in there. It was hanging off this lighting rig, but depending on which way the wind blew, you'd either end up with kids tripping over wires here and in the grass and whatnot, or it'd be blowing across the driveway. So now there it sort of gets the best of both worlds. But temporary fencing panel, I've just got some aluminium channel to mount the Merry Christmas sign to, and then that's mounted to the pole, just with straightforward pipe clamps there. So it works. On the side of the house, not too much different with the controller box here. The only thing here is this has actually got the RA expansion RJ45 expansion, sorry, on top here. Only using 2 of those outputs, which goes up to a box of the Rosa Grande up the top. So it's got its own boxes running off 7 ports, and then the additional port goes to the very back roof line there. I might try and get a video of up there just for argument's sake. That's probably one thing that I'm not comfortable with, how that's mounted on the roof. It's got a bracket made of brass hards piping from Bunnings, screwed together, weighed down on the roof with, it would be at least a dozen sandbags now, and it's also got chains, you can just see dangling out the bottom, chained down to the roof as well. So it's been through some winds and it's managed to still be kicking along now, but it's probably the one that causes me the most anxiety. This box here runs the house outline there, garage line, house outline across the front gutter. This is the grey PVC conduit, but I've just painted it as close to the roof colour as I can. And then also these snowflakes from Sam at Christmas Props Australia. Got a bit more beef to them, I think. And then that bow from Troy ELD runs off in between those 2 peaks there. So Santa is actually running off this box here. He originally was on the front door, and then we've changed setups a number of times. Small mega tree, which is 22 by 90, running off 2 ports from this controller box here, 2 ports plus the star, So it's power injected down here. Power injected these is something I intend on going away from next year, just for the reason of had one rogue pixel somewhere in the second row here the other day that effectively meant the first half of our tree was having little hissy fits. But the power injection box here, this is probably the most exposed box, so I just wanted to make sure it doesn't get touched by kids. We've had a hell of a lot more people come through so far than we intended, so thankfully we've had no issues, but this is as straightforward as it gets. Power in, out through solar panel connectors, and then running 12 gauge wires through, and then T's are soldered into there along the way. So plenty of injection for that little tree. I think it would be injected probably around about every second string. So Tune 2 sign, 2x2 Lyson outdoor P5 panels. This is running off Colt K8B scroller. I wanted to create a flap for this, but I built this box just with marine ply and timber. But I wanted to be able to access this, but it's screwed down at the moment because I ran out of time, screwed and sealed, and it's been outside for 2 months now without issue, but plenty of ventilation. I'm also using the pixel outputs for the arches and the girl reindeer here. If you want to see inside, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. K8B scroller into the panels, power supply in there as well, so it's certainly not using it all up. And that, I think's pretty much the gist of it. I would like some ideas on better ways to mount things up on the roof. That being exposed, like I said, it hasn't budged, but it's certainly something that creates me a bit of anxiety. The trees, like I said, they haven't moved either, and there's certainly this one here's got it does only have 2 guy rings just because of space, but being a bit smaller and it's got the base and they're quite loose, I'll have to tighten them up. It hasn't moved whatsoever. Yeah, so that's it. So we've already got the planning in place for our show next year. We'll go bigger. Got some different ideas we'll play with through the year, but we'll add some more DMX. It was pretty straightforward and simple to get the snow machine going. Teddy there, pole, just a bracket on the back of him. Pain thing with him is stopping him from spinning, so I'll come up with something a bit different for him next year, but most things have held together. The snowflakes are just on brackets. I can't remember who put them up on the ACL forums, just held down by sandbags. They've been pretty well fine. Go to clips, as I said, if I can get a better shot. Just hooks over the back of the gutter with a lip, and then it's just got a bit of a ball at the bottom of it there to hold it out, so there's clearance for the cable. So it like I said, everything here has worked for me, worked for us. I certainly look at some of the other behind the scenes videos and sort of think there's a lot more to the builds than we've got, but like I said, everything's worked for us. So we've had things out since on and off different testing since July, so it's worked. It's got the 3D printed mounts, bracket made of brass hard tubing you get from Bunnings, and it's essentially weighed down by a heap of sandbags and then also chained down. But this is probably one I'm not super confident on. This box has just got two expansion boards. It's only running off one power supply. This is at 30%, so the Rosa Grande is running off seven of the outputs. and then the other output is going up there to the roof. So this is one thing I'd like some ideas on how to better it, being so exposed up here. It's fallen once, but it's got some fair old winds up here and hasn't really moved a whole lot else.